A couple months back, I installed an Android Auto and Apple CarPlay capable upgraded ICM3 radio head unit into my 2003 Saab 9.3. If you own a 2003 to 2006 9.3, you might know that there were three different head unit options that came available in those cars. There's an ICM1, which was the base model unit with no screen. There was the ICM2, which is this head unit right here with a small screen. And then there was also the ICM3, which is this unit right here that came with the biggest screen. I'll invite you all, if you missed the video where I installed my exact head unit and kind of went over exactly what it was, to go watch that video right now. It's a very informative video, one of my favorites that I've made recently. So pretty much what this head unit is a standard ICM3, however the screen has been replaced with just an LCD screen. And there's a Raspberry Pi, a bunch of other mechanical components or electrical components all back here to make this function as Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This kit is made courtesy of a channel called Saab Unleashed. I'll link him in the top corner right here. He's a super awesome channel doing aftermarket upgrades to head units like this and other Saab related stuff. So check him out. Today though, I wanted to show you guys the unit briefly and also talk about the good things that I like about it so far, as well as a couple of the drawbacks or the bad things that I've noticed that come with a modification such as this. But before we get into that, I want to give a word from the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is Simply Carbon Fiber. They have a lot of awesome, unique carbon fiber products. This actually is their new wallet that they are promoting. It's a nice, very simple, if you're kind of minimalist like I am, I don't like to carry around a ton of cards, cash, things like that. So I have 4 cards fit easily in here and some cash strapped to the back. It's extremely lightweight. I mean, this is genuine carbon fiber. Even with my cards and stuff, it's like, weighs just about nothing. It's very, very high quality. Very well made. I think I'm gonna rock this for a while. I really dig this. So if you guys want to see this wallet or any other sort of products that they have watches, a lot of accessories, things like that. I'll have a link to their website at the top of the description, as well as a custom 10% off code. That is Auto Autopsy. I'll put it on the screen right here to get 10% off your order. So be sure to check them out, help support them since they're supporting me. And yeah, let's get on with the video. So when you hop in your 9.3 and you go to start it up, I'm not going to actually power up the engine because my loud exhaust is going to make it hard to hear, but we'll turn the key to the on position here. Now this takes a second for it to boot up, you'll see here. After about 15-20 seconds, the Saab logo appears, which I think is a fantastic touch that Stuart integrated into this kit. Probably one of my favorite things because it really gives it that OEM plus feeling. So when it first boots on, it kind of comes up to this main screen here. It quickly changes though because my iPhone is connected. So you'll see Apple CarPlay is going to pop up here. So if you have Android Auto, you can go ahead and click the Android Auto option that comes up. On that main menu, there are a few other things that you can do. Such as adjusting the volume. You can mess with the equalizer. Stuart has a video kind of going over that in a little bit more detail, so I'm not going to talk about that here. I haven't messed with it at all personally. But basically, as you can tell, this is also wireless CarPlay, which is fantastic. I don't have to have the phone plugged in to use it. I will touch on that a little bit more later in the video. So I do want to go over some of the best things about this head unit. So first off, I think my favorite thing and my favorite mods to do to my cars are OEM plus mods that still look factory but are much better than what came from the factory. So this is a perfect example of an OEM plus mod. This is still the stock head unit, or at least the stock head unit shell, but it's been retrofitted with a screen and a Raspberry Pi and a computer and a bunch of modules that give it complete modern functionality. So you can see I have everything here that standard Apple CarPlay does. I have my my Spotify, all of that. I have my maps, you know, I can make phone calls. So there's a lot of, you know, it functions as complete normal Apple CarPlay. To install this on your car, you know, I could easily pull this head unit back out and put my ICM2 back in in about 30 minutes. So it's a reversible mod as well, which I like. I don't see why you'd ever want to go back. But it's not like you need to, you know, do a bunch of crazy stuff, hack a bunch of wires and things in order to get this installed in the car. You have to do some modification to the head unit itself, obviously, but in terms of the car itself, there isn't really any modification that's needed. So that's another big benefit, at least, that I like. But speaking on the head unit itself, it still functions just like an ICM3. So you might think when you do this, obviously, oh, well, does the radio still work or anything like that? So you can see I'm on my radio right now, which is just a, you know, sports radio station here, but I can still get to my Spotify or my aux. So this is run through the aux input of the car, similar to if you just had the aux input or something like that, just standard that came on these cars. So what you can do is you can hit CD, or I usually just use the source button on the steering wheel, but since that's not in frame, I'm going to use this. Now after you hit that twice, it'll come up to aux, and then you can see at that point, let's put on a song here. You'll see at that point, don't want to get copyrighted, but you get the point. So it works, you know, it works absolutely fantastically. My S3 has CarPlay as well. Now that is wired CarPlay, which I think at the end of the day I prefer wired CarPlay over wireless. Just because when it's wireless, it tends to drain your battery on your phone pretty quickly. I'll talk about that here a little bit more in a minute as well. But this interface is identical to what's on my S3. But now I want to talk about a couple of the downsides associated with this head unit as well. So one thing right off the bat is kind of what I mentioned, the fact that it's wireless. Obviously wireless CarPlay is more usable, but this is more of a preference thing on my end. I kind of prefer the wired CarPlay that's in my S3, mainly because when you're using CarPlay, obviously it's working off of your phone. So you're using your phone battery, not super quickly. It's not going to drain your battery incredibly quick, but having the car plugged in like I do when I use it in my S3 kind of offsets that and even charges the phone a little bit. But a lot of new cars have wireless CarPlay. Wired CarPlay is a little bit, you know, outdated now almost. So wireless CarPlay is generally seen as better than wired, but my personal preference, I think I prefer wired CarPlay a little bit better. I'm sure there's a way that could be integrated into this, but I'm perfectly happy with how it is right now. And I really feel like with a lot of these downsides that I am kind of nitpicking here, so I apologize for that, but I do want to give, you know, my 100% honest opinion. So next up, and probably one of the you know, if you're a true diehard purist, I guess you probably wouldn't do this mod to begin with, but the night panel button no longer functions. Or I shouldn't say it no longer functions, it doesn't function for the screen. So I hit night panel, and because it's 9 in the morning, it's a little bit hard to tell, but obviously these button lights all dim like they used to, the climate controls, everything works and dims like it's supposed to, except for the screen. I actually had someone reach out to me on Instagram that is kind of working with Stuart on trying to integrate night panel into this screen, which would be super cool to see in the future. But for now, the night panel button does not function, but again, that's not really a major downside. There's 3 more quick little downsides I want to talk about. So one thing people always ask when I, you know, 2 years ago when I installed Bluetooth in this car through the aux input, or now when I installed this, is people always ask, well, can I change the track with the steering wheel buttons? And the answer to that is no. You cannot change the track through the steering wheel buttons. Personally, I don't care because I can just have the music up and just switch through them like this. So to me, it doesn't matter. But some people always seem to ask that, so I want to make it clear that this does not function. It wouldn't if you just had normal aux input on the car, if you had normal Bluetooth wired through here, or which is actually back here. This is all wired up the same way that is, so that's why those buttons don't function. I should clarify, when I say don't function, I mean they don't function to actually change the track on the car. They still function when you're using the normal radio, just not when you're using it or trying to use it for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This next downside is probably the biggest one that I have with it, is that you can't really adjust the ICM3 sound settings. So normally if you'd hit this audio button, you could scroll through the menus and you could adjust your bass, your treble, your balance, the little things like that. Because the screen is gone though, you can't see what you're doing. So technically all the hardware is still there for you to be able to adjust it. And what I actually did before I had this ICM3 built is I took a video showing exactly what buttons to press, how many turns to go to adjust that, if I ever did want to adjust the bass and stuff. So pretty much if you do it, you kind of have to do it blindly now, which can be a little bit risky because if you mess something up, then how are you going to get it back? But generally adjusting your bass, your balance, your treble, people don't really do that very often anyways, but in my opinion, that's probably the biggest downside of this head unit. And then lastly, you can see that because this screen isn't as big as what comes on most cars that have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, these buttons, especially on the side here, are a little bit small to press. So I'm still able to press them very accurately. When you're driving or going over a bump or something, you might misclick, but overall, I mean, I still think it's a fantastic head unit. So that's really my main review. I mean, the maps works fantastic. Everything works just as good as it would if it were an Apple CarPlay in a brand new car today, or Android Auto. I haven't used the Android Auto, but I know that the Android Auto is the same kind of deal as the Apple CarPlay. Functions just as well. So hopefully this video provided some information to you guys if you were interested in purchasing this kit, or you just wanted to hear some more insight on it. So if you guys do want some information to purchase this kit, please check out my last video, which I'll link in the top corner once again. I also link it in the description so you guys can click on that video. That video has information on Stuart's channel, all the kits, pricing, things like that. To me, it's a worthwhile mod, especially if you plan on keeping this car for a while. He does also do a similar kit for ICM2, since ICM3s can be a bit hard to come by. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Again, big shout out to Simply Carbon Fiber for sponsoring this video. Check out their wallets, link at the top of the description down below. They have some really cool products, and use my code on the screen right here once again for 10% off. So thank you all so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. If you have any additional questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time.